Yo, 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 what is up? It is intentional grounding right here on a Tuesday night. And I'm fucking excited. I've got some time to reflect on some things, and you guys notice the title of the show, Destiny is Calling. Rob typically hates my show titles, and that's okay. He loves me, so he just has to deal with it. But the Buffalo Bills defeated one of the dragons that they're going to have to face in the Baltimore Ravens, 27-25. And I'm here with my good friend here, Rob Trigilio at Rob T Radio. And we're going to talk about that. And we're going to give you a little snapshot about the Kansas City Chiefs here on the AFC Championship game. So, Rob, how you doing, dog?
Brother, I always love you. I always love your titles. But it does feel like a moment, doesn't it?
It does.
Now, I know that's, from Mr. Brightside, from the song. It's funny that you titled it that because I'm playing with using that saying for a couple different things because it feels so apt to where we are right now.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't done anything yet, but it's all right there for you.
I know.
I mean, years of pain. I'm talking disappointment, all that. Like in 3 weeks, you can erase a lifetime of history. And that is destiny calling you, saying, here it is. You've worked. We're not handing this to you, right? You've worked to get here, and you are now presented. Your hard work has presented you with this moment to write your name into history forever. I mean, forever.
Forever.
That city will never forget. I'm telling you right now, it will be the year 3000, and as long as the planet still exists and a Buffalo, New York is still around, they're never going to forget. So it's a moment for sure.
I love that you say that. I got 2 questions for you. One, are you a Hot Fuss fan?
This feels like a trap question.
No, you have to answer the question.
This absolutely feels like a trap of a question.
Come on.
No, listen, here's the thing. I'm not.
Oh,
I know,
bro.
I know. What year did that come out?
It had to be 2003, 2005, I think.
2004.
Okay.
June 2004. Listen, I wasn't specifically of that song. Like, I never understood why that song was so big.
I think it's bigger now than it has been when it came out. That's what it feels like. I don't know.
It is now inexplicably tied to 2 of your best sports memories of all time.
Dog, so, it's crazy.
So of course you have a special place for it, but I don't know, man.
I am a Killers fan though. Like, I am a Killers fan, and Hot Fuss is, to me, a classic alternative album. It is Hot Fuss. Their debut album was a shit. Like, it's still pretty good. I ain't gonna lie. Like, I've listened to it a few times, a few times recently.
Yeah, so. Like, somebody told me it was okay. Yeah, I'm looking at, it's just Smile Like You Mean It was good.
Oh, dude, that song, yo.
I said it was good.
Oh, that's, dude.
But it was all overplayed. You know what I mean?
For sure.
It was the hot thing for a minute. And so you just couldn't get away from it. And then they brought it back as this like oldies. And yes, you're fucking old, dog. As this oldies song that we play in a stadium. And I don't know why everybody loves singing it so much, but
it doesn't feel like the song fits for a football game. Like, it doesn't fit.
Not
I don't
at all.
know why it caught fire that way. But I will say the bass line on Smile Like You Mean It, though. That bass line, I like that little bass line. that little walk up and the walk down. I think it's pretty dope. So
our boy puts the note in that it was on the charts in the UK for 15 years.
Oh my God. Wow.
I understand everybody loves it. I don't have a problem with it. It's just
okay.
It's not me.
Can I play it at your wedding when you get married?
Okay, first of all,
no,
I'm dying alone, so we gotta start there.
When you get married, when you find that person,
I'll tell you what. If the Bills win a Super Bowl, I'll stop saying that because that was something that I never thought would happen either, and here we are.
My second question to you, okay? Does a Super Bowl win mean more to any other franchise than the Buffalo Bills?
Oh yeah, there's other franchises who have suffered as much. Cleveland, I mean, come on, dog.
Well, they'll never get there, but okay, that's why I didn't say Cleveland.
And that's what you would have said about us with Rex Ryan in 2015. All right, like,
sure,
you know what I mean.
I just think it means more. It means more in Buffalo, man.
It takes a series of good decisions to get there.
Sure.
But yeah, those Great Lakes teams, dog, and I would throw Chicago in if they didn't happen to have one, because that franchise has been run so terribly for so long. But you know, Detroit, Cleveland, Buffalo, these fans that sit outside in miserable cold every year for their team, begging, praying to have a shot like this, to have a guy like this. Yeah, I think there's other fan bases that it means a lot to. It was interesting. I think Sports Illustrated did it, but I'm not 100% sure it was them. But they did a thing of the most forsaken sports cities. And I think Minnesota was the one they ended up picking for number one.
Oh yeah, man. Ooh, that would rival Buffalo for sure.
The only other team that went to 4 and lost them all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And since then, they've had the Minnesota Stars and the Minnesota Wild, and they both haven't done anything. They got the Minnesota Timberwolves, and they didn't do anything. And the Twins, I think they won once in the 80s, maybe.
Yep,
but I don't know if they ever won a World Series. I think it might have just been an AL title. So, but the rule that they had was, and I can't remember what the latitude line was, but like nothing under this parallel is allowed to claim sports forsaken cursed. Because if you're in San Diego, yes, you've had a terrible sports history, but you also fucking live in San Diego. So
that's facts.
I don't want to hear it.
So, okay, with that logic, then Buffalo has to be the worst, right?
I mean, Minnesota, Buffalo, Detroit's got a couple titles, so they leave them out. Cleveland, this was before Cleveland got its NBA title, but Cleveland was up there. Yeah, I mean, those were the big ones, if I remember right.
Man, that's crazy. All right, so we've established Rob does not like hot fuss, and he doesn't agree that
they were just never my dude. It was too hipster. Like they were just never my sound.
It was very hipster.
It was very like, I'm too cool to be listening to punk rock, so I listen to this instead. This alt punk, whatever. It's not my sound, dog.
What is your sound, Rob?
Back then, at that time,
no, right now.
EDM is my sound right now for sure.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's some good shit.
So we'll give you some Darude Sandstorm in place of that. Is my vote.
Okay. Yeah, you got to send that to me because
I'll get you hyped up with Sandstorm. Don't act like I'm
all right. I want to try. I'll be on a plane for like 3.5 to 4 hours this weekend, so I need something to listen to. So
I can't believe you're doing this.
Stop it, dude.
When you could go over Pro Bowl weekend, literally the next weekend. I can't believe you're doing this.
Stop it. Stop. You're making me feel bad.
You should feel bad.
You're making me feel bad.
This, Sturls, I guess we'll date you in front of everybody. I hate to do this, but like, how old are you?
41.
Okay.
I look good for 41, baby.
You look great for 41. You're a dog. We love you. Okay. This is the biggest game the Buffalo Bills have played since you had pubes. Okay.
That's some perspective, dog. That's some perspective.
This is the biggest game they've played since you sprouted little hairs. You know it. Okay.
It is for sure.
Because when we went to and let's be honest, man, and we hung out at the bar then, but we didn't get in deep conversations about Bills.
Yeah.
But like when they went to the championship game in 2020, none of us thought they were going to win that game. We hoped, but we knew we were punching above our weight class.
Yep.
I said it after we beat Seattle that year when we kind of confirmed that we were good and like on that level. I texted my boy and I'm like, for the first time, because it was such a new feeling for me, I was like, for the first time, the only team I'm scared of in the AFC is Kansas City.
Yeah.
And it turned out that we played them in the AFC Championship game. And they were a couple levels above us. We knew it. You know what I mean? Like, that's fine. Right. We did not go in there expecting to win that game. Now, you can talk about the heartbreak in the divisional the next year, because then I thought we were good enough. You can talk about the heartbreak the year after that, which had to do with a whole bunch of stuff, not including a playoff loss, but also you could talk about the playoff loss. And then you can talk about last year. But this is the biggest game that they've played. This is, 1.5 points, dog. It's a pick 'em that we're talking about here. This is the biggest game they've played that I will remember. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's massive right now. And, after the game, we did the post-game show here. And real quick, make sure you follow, and subscribe to Buffalo Media Network and all of our shows. We got Intentional Grounding, we got the Charge Podcast, and your NFL pregame show. Subscribe to all of them, okay? So you can find us on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts, we're there. Man, it took me a minute to really for it to all set in. It really didn't set in that they actually won the game until I was done with the podcast and I'm just sitting there having a drink because I had me a couple shots, dog. I didn't drink during the game, so I could pay attention, because you know how I get when I have a drinks during the game. Okay, so I waited until after.
I've seen. There's a reason his name is Stirls for the girls.
So I'm done now. So I'm just chilling.
That's what I'm saying. This is a new leaf.
I'm the wingman now. Okay,
that's what I'm saying. It's a new leaf. But I've seen you when you get distracted, when you're single and put down a couple drinks watching a Bills game. You know what I mean? So
yeah, they still test me. But my point is, I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my God, they did it. So what do I do next? I get my phone out and I start looking at all the reactions to the game and what the national pundits are tweeting and the apologies. And just all the things, right? And then we get to Lamar Jackson. And I'm thinking, okay, how people would say stuff about Josh Allen, I want to know if it's going to be the same about Lamar Jackson. We got mixed reviews. You got some out there who, and I'm going somewhere with this, you got some out there who would say, yeah, that's on Lamar Jackson. And you got others say, man, he played so good, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't on him. You got to look at, Andrews, whatever. I want to ask, because we haven't talked about this. In that game, it's a team effort, right? There's 22 players, offense, defense, special teams, and whatever. But when you look at that game, who do you place majority of the blame on?
All right, so I'm going to be very careful here. Because I'm going to start with, who cares? Right? If it was my team, I need to, maybe find some pressure points as to what I can do to get better. But even if it's my team, at the end of that divisional round last year when we lost, we were sitting here talking about it. And you had to hear people say the narrative about Josh Allen and blah, blah, blah. I literally had to go on my radio stations and I talked to literally every single one of the shows that day, except for one. And they all said to me, can Josh Allen not win the big one? Blah, blah, blah. And it was just oh, God. One of them asked me if I'd rather be a Bills fan or a Broncos fan. Would I rather be miles away or that close and lose? And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And so the conversation around Lamar Jackson for me goes like this. You're not getting rid of him. He's a 2-time MVP, likely to be 3. He's an absolute dog. He can beat you from inside the pocket. He can break you down outside the pocket. You've shown what giving him a running game can do for him. I think there was only a couple ways that the Bills won that game. on Sunday. They picked one. They stuck with it. It got a little dicey at times. But at the end of the day, he's an absolute dog.
Yeah.
And is he going to need to figure out the playoff thing? Yeah. You know how you do that? Keep going. Keep going to the playoffs, and eventually you should figure it out. Eventually you'll win. Some people are just fucking serial killers like Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels, and they don't feel stress or anxiety because they're weird like that. And so they're just straight killers, and I get that. But for most people, you would look at it and you'd like if you went back and watched the Houston wildcard game from 5 years ago, you see sugar high Josh.
Yeah.
You know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you watch, I mean, if you just put a heart rate monitor on him in that game versus the divisional round last week, I bet you the beats per minute has gone down.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah. Did Lamar make some mistakes? Sure. Did he drive him 96 yards down the field to almost stuff it right back in our throat? Yeah, he sure did. And he almost completed that pass too. So, you know, if you want to talk about what this means for the Ravens and who to blame, sure, you could blame Lamar if you want. You could blame Mark Andrews if you want. I think there's people on their defense that you can blame too. At the end of the day, all the changes that you're going to make are changes around that infrastructure, not to that infrastructure. The bones of the operation are there, and they're going to stay there.
Right.
And even Mark Andrews, I don't think is going to be. I know people were talking about how big his contract is, and you got to sign Isaiah Likely and all this kind of stuff. Man, the dude came in with Lamar Jackson. He's like one of his boys. I would be shocked if he's gone. You know what I mean? So that's just my take on it. Like, who lost the game? The whole freaking team did. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's what football is. It's a team game. And I'm not inclined to shit on Lamar Jackson.
No, man. Yeah. I mean, Lamar Jackson, he's a great quarterback. But we live in a storyline driven media space, if you will. And, you know, he made some critical mistakes. I think, you know, that hurt the team. Mark Andrews as well. And it's not, you can't place the blame all on one person. You know, I think that's what people want to do. And it's hard. It really is hard. I think there's a righteous vindication though that comes when, like, you mentioned it. You said it. You said that we had to sit here and listen to everybody's crazy ass takes out of context and just eat. I felt like you just had to eat it because there was nothing that you were going to say that was going to correct the narrative. You know, like you say it wasn't Josh. It was not Josh. That loss wasn't on Josh. I mean, I could point to countless other things that contributed to the loss. It's a team game. But at
the end of the day, he misses that throw on second down, and Diggs is open underneath for a first down, and he could run for a first down. And Shakir is open in the end zone if you look, but it doesn't matter because he missed.
Yep.
And listen, I got terrible news for you. I'm going to have to do the same thing on Monday if they lose.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, the narrative will not stop. So I'm just not inclined to do it to other people. But listen, the Bills got the game script they needed. We talked about it. And yes, the Ravens got that early touchdown, but they always do. The Bills always give up the first touchdown. What do we say, Sturls?
You don't freak out after the first drive, baby.
That's right. You don't freak out after the first drive. And the Bills made adjustments, and they put a couple points on the board, and all of a sudden they had them playing catch up. And you got to that middle 8 portion with a chance to go up to 28-10. I will never forgive them for not closing that. And we need to have a talk about that, by the way, but we can put a pin in it for now. But you get it all the way to 21-10, and what do? All of a sudden, Derrick Henry is invisible. And credit to McDermott, they had the plan to stop the run game, and it worked. And credit to the boys. Damar Hamlin, not afraid to step up and put his head on a thigh board. I don't think it was the first. It might have been the first time that he wore a Guardian cap.
Yeah.
I think maybe he did in like preseason, but most of the season he's been going without it. But you want to know why he put it on today? So he could put his helmet right into Derrick Henry's thigh board.
Yeah, and good for him. He looked like one of those NBA Jam characters. You know how they all had the big heads, the skinny body and the big head. That's what he looked like.
I will not shame concussion protection.
I'm not shaming concussion protection. I'm just saying what it looked like from the TV point of view. But let's talk about it though. Let's talk about the schematics here, because I think that's important. 21-10, you come out flat after the half, and I was frustrated. I think we all were frustrated. But then you watched all 22 and you go, okay, like, I get it, but still, like, I felt like the game plan should have been different. Like, in a high pressure moment situation, you can't go in there thinking that you're just going to run the ball down their throat all day. That is impossible. That is a very good football team and 3 stout run defenders up front.
Yeah, it felt like they wanted to break their will, and they didn't. You know what I mean? It felt like when they came out of the locker room, they all got in there and looked at each other and said, we're going to go hammer it down their throat and win this game on the first drive of the third quarter. It's going to be over 28-10.
Yeah.
And they stopped them on that drive, and they stopped them on the next one too. I don't hate the sentiment. I don't. You know what I mean? That's what good rushing teams do, is they break you down for 2 quarters, and then by the time you get to the second half, you're tired of the sledgehammer coming at you. And so I don't hate the sentiment there. I just don't know if that is the game plan I would have picked against this team.
Well, when you have Optimus Prime as your quarterback and Josh Allen, you don't have – it's like Ohio State trying to prove that they're tough. When they play teams like Michigan, they like – scratch their game plan. What makes them successful, and that's spreading the ball out and throwing to those 5-star wide receivers. You don't have to do that, Buffalo. You didn't have to do that in this game. But I understand, we saw them playing more cover 2 and more man and stuff like that. Wide receivers, they really couldn't get their footing necessarily because of the conditions of the field. So I get it, but you run James Cook right up the middle. And it's like, okay, dude, and we've seen this kind of behavior throughout the season where he would something worked early and he's just going to keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it.
But I will say I like that a lot of the time. I really do.
When it works.
I like the fact that he's going to force you to stop whatever it is. But it just felt like, okay, they stopped it. Next thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Josh Allen throws the ball, 7 times in the first half. And so there's really not a rhythm to the passing game. Now, I think it's more palatable if you were to balance that approach. Like, okay, yeah, you really like, this lead play with James Cook. Great. But you can't, there has to be a balance where you got Josh Allen in rhythm, making, smart decisions with the football, getting small, even just small gains, even though they're playing that too high cover shell. You could do that. So I hope that's something that they talk about this week and maybe make a small adjustment. Look, I think this matchup this week is going to be I think it's going to be tough. I think Kansas City, that's going to be a really tough game. And I know it's –
Remember that thing I put the pin in?
Yeah.
Let's pull it out now.
Let's pull it out. Let's go.
We're in the circle of trust.
Yeah.
Just us Bills fans here having a conversation.
Hold on.
Nobody else is around.
Please don't say what I think you're going to say, Rob.
Ain't nobody else can hear this, okay? It's just us. We just have to have a real talk, okay?
Oh, here we go.
I'm going to put a bunch of caveats on it, too. Granted, I am talking about an offense that put up, 59 points? No, 58 points in the last 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, you're playing playoff level defenses. The competition steps up. We understand all these things. Mm-hmm. And granted, all that matters is the score at the end of the game.
Right.
Are we not a little bit disappointed in the offense's performance? And it's not that they've been bad. I'm not saying that. But how many times have you felt like they let an opportunity slip away?
Can I answer that question real quick?
Go ahead.
there is a part, there is it disappointment. Well, I think there's part disappointment and then part PTSD, right? Because you look at it and you're like, man, like I really want you just want the comfort of like putting your foot down on a team and just taking them over, like they did with Denver Broncos. And I'm not. I don't see that. We didn't see that. Not, but again, then it's like it's the Baltimore Ravens. They're a really good football team, and you're just not gonna have um that kind of production. Like it's just it is what it is. Like you said, it's so yeah. I guess I don't know, man. For me, I guess it's kind of both. But go ahead.
Let's point at a couple things, right? You're 13-7 coming out of halftime against the Broncos.
Yep.
You let that team hang around. If you let a team that wears yellow and red hang around like that, it's going to be a long time. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's going to be a long day. And then, like, you can point at specific drives, and I'm forgetting the Broncos one, but I can go back and look at the drive chart. But you mentioned the 2 3-and-outs coming out of halftime.
Mm-hmm.
How about them getting all the way down to the 1-yard line and trying to get cute, as opposed to what they've done all year? You score a touchdown there, it's over. It's over.
Do you think that's because they had an issue in the Rams game that they're just like they pissed down their leg right there? And the Rams game, okay. So you think that is just that's the decision they made, and to be a shotgun, and that I thought that was crazy, but it just didn't work, right? I don't know.
But so here's the thing. In shotgun, they have run that tackle trap like crazy the last 5 games of the year. And normally it's Dawkins coming over. Every once in a while, they'll pull Edwards instead. Just a wham type play, a power run play. And Josh has a bunch of options off that, which includes that was the little flip to Shakir in the Detroit game where he walks into the end zone.
Right.
There's a read option with Ty Johnson that he's done one time. Of course, he's got the opportunity to pull it and run straight through. That was the Coleman shot. I'm pretty sure that was a tackle trap play called. And in Seattle, he just audibled to
the interception.
No. In Seattle, where he throws it up to Coleman against Tyreek Woolen a couple times.
Okay. Yeah,
I think that was a tackle trap that he just audibled to. I've got one-on-one outside. I'm going to take a shot at my guy here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They love running that play, and I think that was their mindset being in shotgun there. So I don't necessarily hate it, but like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Put it in the end zone, and this is what I mean when I say like they're just missing opportunities. And this team, when they play clean football, it's an important thing for them,
right?
And they did. They played clean football, gave them the opportunity to win this game. But when they play clean football and take advantage of their opportunities, nobody can beat them.
Right.
And we have talked about all year, like you want this offense to be in a groove in the playoffs, and they have not been.
Right.
Tell me I'm wrong.
Well, I felt like they've been in a groove. Like I felt Denver was a good showing. This past week, I would say, half the game, maybe 3/4 of the game ish, if you will. But again, it's like I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, is this just because the competition's tighter, that these teams are really good, or is it like, are they just overthinking it? And I tend to be more towards the latter. It just feels like, man, there's a little bit of overthinking here. When you're trying to be too smart. We've seen this with Brian Daboll at times, where he overthought simple situations and play calls because, I get it, So I don't know, man. It's this week, man. It's all about what the preparation is and the execution this week, because I feel like, and I don't know how you necessarily think about this, but and I've heard it from fans and friends, in that you beat the Chiefs earlier in the season, and this Chiefs team, quote unquote, isn't that good. And I will say, yes, their roster isn't as good as it used to be. they may not have a lot of the top end star power as they once had, but this is still a well coached, thorough football operation, and they deserve the respect that you just can't go out there and just think that you're gonna beat the Chiefs because you beat them earlier in the season. I just don't think that's correct.
This is not the same Chiefs team. Just
Right.
like we wanted to tell all the Ravens fans that is not the same Bills team that you played in week 4. This is not the same Chiefs team that you played in 8 or 9
Yep.
or whatever it was.
Yep.
Jalen Watson, Hollywood Brown, DeAndre Hopkins. Was he in there for that? I think that was right after they got him.
No, he was there. He was there.
But it would have been like the first week or two that he was there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like this is a completely different Chiefs team than the one that you faced in Buffalo. And yeah, I mean, I don't think any Bills fan thinks it's going to be a cakewalk. What I do think is, and this is kind of what I was saying about this being the most important game they've played, for a lifetime. There's no fear there anymore.
Yeah.
I used to fear going into Arrowhead.
Well, I still do, actually. I take that back. I still do.
Nope. And I don't think Josh does either. And those are the two important guys.
Sure. Yeah. They can give a fuck about what I think about it.
But,
okay, hold on. Back that up for a second. Like, there is no anxiety like before kickoff, because so here's the deal. Like, I tell you fans out there, like Rob and I, we're very similar in our approach to the game on game day. Like, we usually think the same thing in terms of like, are you nervous right now? Yeah, I'm nervous right now. Fuck, let's go really bad, let's go really good. So you're saying you feel that you don't have that. So is it like, okay, we're playing the fucking Jets this week and you're just cool?
No.
Or is it, what is it? Explain that.
When I went into Arrowhead, even in the regular season, from the 2020 championship game forward, there had been fear. I told you the only team I called my buddy and I told him the only team I'm afraid of is the Chiefs. And that was true in 2020. They were better than us, just flat out on paper. They were better than us. They're not anymore. This is where we're supposed to be.
Okay.
And I think over the last 3 years, I've had to tell people this is where we're supposed to be because we haven't gotten here. But that divisional round lost 13 seconds.
Yeah.
I willfully made the argument that is we should have been there. We should have been there. But we screwed up and that is what it is. And then they lost to the Bengals, and that was the hardest one to argue, hey, we should have been there. But I also truly believe what that team went through, they were never going to make it. They did not have enough gas in the tank emotionally and mentally to make it there. And then last year, when you finally get a chance to prove that this is where you should be, wide right. But I'm not afraid of that team. And I'm not afraid of Arrowhead, and I'm not afraid of playing them in Arrowhead. That doesn't mean I'm not nervous. I'll be nervous on game day.
The Bills probably aren't either. How many times have they had this dance with the Chiefs at Arrowhead? Like,
that's my point.
Yeah,
that's my point. And Josh feels like he belongs. He's already proven he belongs on that field with them.
Yep.
And I think McDermott has gotten over some of his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I hope he gets over the rest of it. It feels better around him this year.
It does. It very much does.
And I think that is why the vibe around the team feels better, is because it feels better around him. So I'm just not scared walking in there. That doesn't mean the game's not going to be hard. It doesn't mean I think we're going to blow them out or anything. This team is ready for this. This is where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And that's what the destiny is calling thing. That's why it means something to me.
Right.
You worked to get here to this moment, and you suffered what you had to suffer to get here. And all you got to do is go take it. And that doesn't mean that you could have a Mark Andrews moment, right? Just because it's your moment, just because you prepared for it, doesn't mean that you can take it. But this team is ready for it. They really are.
Yeah, and let's go to let's go back to that game with the Kansas City Chiefs. I think that was week 10. Okay. So it wasn't that long ago, right? Like me thinking about it, for some reason, I have it stuck in my head like the Bills and Chiefs played week 5. You know, I don't
Well,
because
it was the
they've done
middle
that.
of the year. It was
Yeah.
pretty
but
long ago.
well, it's week 10, right? So I mean, it's not as
2
far
months.
back. Yeah, it's not as far back as I initially thought, was what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And in that game, the Bills held Patrick Mahomes under 200 yards passing. He had 196 on the day, 3 touchdowns and 2 picks. Like that is not an efficient day from Patrick Mahomes. So
Yeah, they also though had offensive line troubles then.
they still do.
They're not as bad though. They're not as bad.
Well, it's not that much better. I'm just saying it's just
Dooney
not
had
that much
stepped
better.
up and helped them. That guard is back now from injury.
Mhm.
I mean, it's not. They're not great, but it's not as bad as it had been.
Right.
You know, especially right before that.
Well, and even in that game, the Bills only got two sacks, but they did. You know, there was some pressure in there. But again, like,
But what they did is they made him one dimensional.
Right. Very one dimensional.
I mean? And so it was. I mean, that's what you want to do to him again this week. Isaiah Pacheco has not been great since he's been back. I mean,
he's still reeling from injury. He doesn't look like the same player. Kareem Hunt is very much let's bang him up, you know, at the line of scrimmage and hope he can fall for 3 or 4 yards per carry.
He's just a body at this point.
Exactly. He's just a body, tough runner between the tackles, but that's about it, right? You're really not worried about anything in the backfield in terms of receiving, like, you know. So I think if you go back to last year's game,
I don't know that that's true because, you know, Xavier Worthy and some of the things they've been doing with him in the run game
from a running back standpoint.
I'm just saying, in the run game with sweeps and you know, shuttle passes and that kind of stuff, they've made him an effective player to get a little pop because they don't really have pop without it, with Pacheco not being full speed. You know what I mean?
And then from a receiving standpoint, so, you know, the person that I'm thinking, okay, like they held Kelsey to 2 receptions for 8 yards, I believe. I don't think that's going to be the case this week. I do think you should expect to see a little bit more production out of Kelsey. Noah Gray had 2 touchdowns in this game. I forgot about that. Noah freaking Gray.
But same thing we said for the Ravens week.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Tehran might have played in that game, but Milano definitely didn't.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so if you're talking about who's covering the second tight end,
however,
linebackers and safeties, right?
Well, right, but Milano hasn't played Kelsey well in the playoffs from a cover standpoint. I haven't seen it from Matt Milano against
You said
Chris.
Noah Gray.
I know, but I'm thinking I'm not expecting Noah Gray to have a lot of production this game. I really do think that their offense lives and dies with Kelsey and Worthy. That's it. I'm not worried about DeAndre Hopkins. Tell me who else? Who else is going to make a play?
2 veteran receivers on the outside. I think that's what they're going to have to do to win this game.
But here's the deal. I trust Christian Benford against DeAndre Hopkins. I trust Russell. I think he plays. I really do think he plays. My gut says he plays.
My gut says he plays, but I just.
But for all intents and purposes, let's just say he plays. Let's just say he plays.
I sure hope so.
I know, right? Me too.
Huge.
Me too. Yeah. If he is available and could play, I feel good about our 2 corners. Douglas.
Here's the thing. Does he have enough speed for Hollywood?
Yeah. Oh no, God no.
Right.
No.
Because you can put Sewell on Hopkins and say 1-on-1 and fine. Right.
Yeah. No.
I feel okay with that.
He can't run step for step with no.
Which means you got to give him safety help. And the minute that you give him safety help, what happens?
Yeah, it opens up the middle of the field. Travis Kelce. Now, so my other question, I do think Bernard on Kelce is a better matchup.
I don't disagree with that. So Bernard in the first matchup did a lot of the spying because Milano wasn't back. I think Milano being back allows, because what they did against Lamar is Milano is the spy.
Exactly.
He is incredibly athletic. And so I think you do the same plan, just different guys. and instead of Dorian Williams on Travis Kelce or Noah Gray, it's Terrell Bernard on Travis Kelce or Noah Gray.
Yep, Terrell
and
Bernard.
Milano as a spy, and I feel pretty good about that.
And Taron Johnson should do some time on him as well.
You got to put somebody on Xavier Worthy, and I don't know. I don't know how you're gonna. Nobody's got the speed for him, and nobody's got the speed for Hollywood. So you're probably gonna play a lot more zone, but it's.
I think you said it nail on the head. You're gonna have to You're gonna have to attempt to pressure Mahomes like he did Jackson. And you need to see more of Von Miller. If Joe Tooney's playing left tackle, look, man, Epinesa, he's got to have a day. If they want to throw Rousseau on that side, he's got to have a day.
They were purposely not rushing Lamar. I saw a couple people getting after the D-line that they didn't have a huge impact.
No,
they did what they were told, man.
Mm-hmm.
They did what they were told, which is 3 yards down the field at most. Do not let the guy get up and in between you. And I think there was one time I can remember that he was able to step up through the middle because you got too deep in the backfield and take off running. That was their game plan. Make him throw it from the pocket. And so I think you're going to see a different attack level this week from that defensive line.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's I would say there's probably a slightly more aggression, but you still have to maintain their integrity in your rush lanes. But I do think that they're going to try to go after him a little more. But I think those simulated pressures are going to have to be. That's the way to go. And you're going to have to hurry him up to get the ball out of his hand and just hope that, you can man up a little bit on the outside, and then you got safety help over top to help with those speedsters that they do have.
Well, and Babbage and McDermott, like that's what they're good at is the simulated pressure and disguising their coverage. And they've done it well against Pat. I mean, it's not like Mahomes has eaten them up. There has been great plays from the guys that he plays with.
Right.
But I think they do a pretty good job of keeping Mahomes guessing. The things that have killed the Bills in these matchups are when they don't have the speed for a guy like Tyreek Hill, who catches a crosser and runs for 60 yards in the 13 seconds game to score that touchdown, right? When Mahomes gets into the second play, and that's why Travis Kelce has 200 yards receiving against us. Those are the types of things that kill the Bills. It's not the initial structure of the defense. I think they do a pretty good job of keeping Mahomes honest. You know what I mean? So I think the plan doesn't necessarily change much because that's what you want. Simulated pressures, find a way to manufacture some pressures and disguise your coverage till the last second.
Yeah. But they did a really good job at that. All game long, I felt like they had this Chiefs offense under wraps. And let's take the fear and the PTSD out of it, if you will.
Can you?
Well, I'm going to try.
Okay.
Personnel-wise, Kansas City just doesn't have the dogs on offense like they used to have, right? Like it's not like you're facing the Detroit Lions where they got guys everywhere, right? That can just blow a game open. Kansas City doesn't have that right now. And that, I'm telling you, like, yes, I am nervous about the game.
Homie, I got to stop you.
Wait, why?
Because you got to give more respect to the names on that offense. And now I understand that Travis Kelce is not the guy he used to be. I understand that Hollywood Brown is getting up there. And I understand that DeAndre Hopkins is from ancient Roman times. But I'm not as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was. You think they're going to – if they're going to bring it any week, I mean, come on. They're bringing it this week.
And that's the PTSD talking right there.
No, dog. I think you got to be mentally prepared for
you
that.
do.
You really
absolutely do.
This is the AFC Championship game, and if you end up playing somebody like the Commanders, it might feel like the Super Bowl.
But have you ever been in a fight, you get hit, and you go, "Oh wait, man, that didn't really hurt." Like let's do this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not what what I'm trying to say is not like it used to be. They still have respectable guys, but man, they don't.
And
it's
in
just,
week 10, that's a great plan.
right.
But in the AFC Championship game, dog, they're gonna bring it. They are
Oh,
gonna bring it.
I expect them to bring it and then some. They're going, but you have to be. I think the Bills are up for the fight. I just do this time. I really do this time. And now more than ever, there's a glimmer of hope, but there are holes. Like this, it's not like these guys are unbeatable. Like I felt like, there were times last week where I went back and forth. I felt like, man, the Ravens, they are just a juggernaut.
I agree.
The Chiefs aren't a juggernaut. They're just not a juggernaut right now. So,
I mean, if we're being honest about it, you match up better with the Chiefs than you match up with the Ravens.
Absolutely, and that's my point. So, yeah, you just can't overthink it, right? Like you need to be sound, keep it simple, stupid in a sense, right? I'm not saying that this is just an elementary offense by any means, but I just don't want to see them just overthink it and try to do too much. Keep it to where your guys can go make plays, right? Be sound in your assignments.
When you talk about team building, you try real hard not to overreact to the thing that got you beat, right? Yep. And I think the Bills have been trying to resist the urge to overreact to the thing that got them beat for 4 or 5 years now. But that thing has constantly been the Chiefs. And you kept building this roster to beat the Chiefs.
Yeah.
And if you were building it to beat the Ravens, last week's game would have looked real different. Yeah. But that's why I said it was important what the game script was. It was important that you did certain things because it was the only way you were going to win that game. You were not designed to beat a Baltimore Ravens football team.
Yeah.
And so, listen, congratulations. You guessed right. You were going to be part of the Arrowhead Invitational yet again.
Yeah.
Now you are built to beat this Chiefs team. It's just about going out there and doing it.
It is. So as we talk, okay, hold on. I'll make a couple remarks here and you can add to it. But from a defensive line perspective, I do feel like Ed Oliver is having one hell of a postseason. And so is Gregory Rousseau.
Should have drawn, I think, 3 different holding calls in that Baltimore game.
It was blatant. I'm talking like being hooked. And they just
down by the goal line too, in the red zone.
Yeah, and they just let him play. I mean, we're not even talking about the refs, but those two guys particularly have been playing really, really good football. And when we talk about the Chiefs' offensive line, it's not that good. It's okay, right? And Mahomes does a really good job of getting rid of the ball when he needs to, or extending the play, to get guys down the field, etc. Right? But they can be had. I felt Baltimore has a better offensive line than the Kansas City Chiefs do, and I felt like Ed Oliver and Greg Rousseau have answered the call here. So can they do it again? They played well in Week 10 against the Chiefs. I do expect them. I think they can and will play well this coming Sunday.
Well, we should get to the other side of the ball.
Let's go.
Because we're flying through this podcast. I could do another 3 hours with you.
No.
But real quick, the last thought on that is this last week, I didn't think the D-line was going to be a key to the game. I thought the linebackers were going to be a key to the game. I thought they needed to penetrate, make tackles in the backfield, and they needed to be responsible for stopping the run game. And they did a bang-up job. Mm-hmm. I was thrilled with the way that they played defense. This week, I think it's got to be your D-line that wins.
It does.
Because last week I asked the D-line, just hold your water, right? Don't get overpowered. Don't get blown back. Just hold your ground and let the guys behind you make plays. This week, I think I'm asking the guys behind them to hold their water. Like when you go 7-on-7, the 7 in the backfield, those guys just hold serve.
Yep.
And I think you look at the D-line and say, I need you to find ways to win one-on-one. And that can be a scary proposition because people do not trust the talent that we have on this defensive line. But I mean, Greg Rousseau's made big plays in Arrowhead. Von Miller's made big plays in Arrowhead. I mean, you got to go. You got to go. You got to win.
Yeah. And, man, sheesh. This is going to be fun. So let's shift it. Okay. So we're talking Bills on offense, Kansas City Chiefs on defense. Oh, man. Listen, George Karlaftis, he's playing good football. I think he's a really good edge rusher. They've been using Chris Jones a lot more this season on the edge, though, which is kind of interesting to me, especially in their nickel formations. You see him line up on the outside. I think that plays.
There's not one man on that defensive line that I'm afraid of except
Chris Jones. Yeah, it's like
he's the only one. And Karlaftis has eaten because of that.
Because of that.
Yeah, but put him one-on-one with Doc or Brown, and I'm fine. Whatever.
Yeah,
so, they will eat him for lunch.
And I say that to say, I mean, I know they know this, but you gotta before every snap, you gotta recognize where Chris Jones is lined up.
Well, now, I mean, listen, he's gonna line up over David Edwards, right? Like we know it.
You know it, right?
Right. Like but the good news about that is you can then slide coverage to him, and Connor McGovern can literally help him on every play, which is why they've been moving him outside. But even if Doc has to go one-on-one with him, and I know that was the reason your season ended last year, is because Doc stopped him, but he got pushed right back into Josh's lap, and Josh couldn't step in to the throw to Shakir, and that was why it was incomplete.
Right.
But I trust him. I trust my two tackles against him if they have to go one-on-one.
And that was my point. I mean, we got to give Spencer Brown some credit too. Now I know Chris Jones is the most dominating force in football on defense, right? But I do trust Spencer Brown in this game to limit him, not wreck the game, but somewhat limit him. And I think this is the best Bills offensive line that we've seen in recent memory. I like everything from McGovern and Dawkins and Brown on the outside. You know, hell, even the guards are playing. They're playing good too, right? It's not like they're a liability, but
you have to slide the line to him, and that's all. You know what I mean? And, and I think that's an easily, I don't want to say correctable. That's something that you can easily do to take care of it. And all you have to make sure is that you don't lose one-on-ones otherwise. And I think this offensive line has proved that if your name isn't Chris Jones, that they will win the one-on-one matchups.
Yeah. So I think we're solid. I think we'll be able to run the football. In the first game, James Cook did not have a good game. We saw a lot of Josh Allen runs. I do expect to see, you're going to see around, 7 to 12 carries from Josh Allen. You're going to see that in this game.
What game plan are you going in with? Are you going in with a run-heavy game plan? You going in with a pass-heavy game plan?
I want to start off running the football just to see what we can do. You know what I mean? Like, because if you can run that football on them, then great. Like, let's keep it going. But I know in my back pocket that I have a quarterback in Josh Allen to where, oh yeah, he can make plays against these guys. So I would start that first drive out running the football, kind of getting the feel of the game. But I do think though that if the running is not, it's not there. I mean, Mike Dana, when they go nickel and he's that defensive tackle, or a minute who on the outside, I mean, you can run it. You can run on these boys. And then from a passing standpoint, I mean, look how CJ Stroud was running the football, and CJ Stroud is almost afraid to run the football. I watched him when he at Ohio State, especially when they play Michigan, he just doesn't want to do it. Yeah. But he pressed in, he leaned into it last week, and you saw some success. So when has Josh Allen not been able to run the football against the Chiefs defense?
That's why my offensive game plan is completely flipped. I'm going out guns blazing. Start very simply by saying, I don't know if they can get in a shootout with you and win. And that is based on
Let me
You
caution
do
you
have
though.
to take into account that like their defense is their strength and your offense is your strength, so it's strength on strength. But I think if you score 30 or 35, I don't think they're winning.
No, I agree with that, but let me caution you on that. So the Chiefs are going to play a lot of man, and you got
Fine.
Justin Watson and McDuffie on the outside, which on the outside we haven't really shown the ability to win consistently 1v1.
But
Now,
that's why I want you going in there slinging. I really do. And I want you to attack those linebackers with your tight ends the same way they beat us all those years. And I want you then to see if you can pull them back a little bit and run the ball. But if I'm going in first drive, I'm going in and I'm saying we're throwing the ball. We're going after the jugular. I want to take a couple deep shots. And then if it's not there, what you said, Josh, they can be had with the QB run game.
Yep.
So if your first or second read isn't there, take the 3, take the 5 yards, and then we'll figure it out. You know what I mean?
Right.
My plan would be the exact opposite of what they did versus the Baltimore Ravens. It's why this offense is so dynamic. They can win a lot of different ways. They can have different game plans depending on their opponent. And for me, man, I'm going in there slinging it and saying use your legs if it's not there.
And that might be the approach. I mean, because if you go in there slinging it, you're gonna have the Chiefs defense saying, "Oh shit!" Like, okay, they're taking chances, like they're playing ball, and it might loosen them up a little bit. So to where when you want to go back to the run game, now the reads and what Josh is able to do, making plays off script, when a play breaks down, etc. I think that's going to be there, but I think it will open up a little bit for James Cook if that's your approach. Now, Amari Cooper, OJ against McDuffie, Jalen Watson, however they want to do that.
You want to call him OJ McDuffie all the time.
I know, dude. I love McDuffie. I used to love him OJ.
Too. I used to love him coming out in the draft.
McDuffie. I know.
You and me
Trey
both.
McDuffie, we were really high on him. But OJ McDuffie was a dog too, man.
No, right.
I liked OJ McDuffie, but Trey McDuffie, maybe that's his son. We don't know. Probably not. Okay. But you get what I'm saying is on the outside, can we trust Keon Coleman? And that's, to me, that injury really set him back a little bit. It really set him back to where I think he could have been this season. But I think we're going to have to trust him. Trust him to.
Why'd you make the trade?
I don't know.
No, you do know. This is why you made the trade. You have to trust that Amari Cooper is as good as Trent McDuffie.
Oh, you're talking about, okay, I thought you were talking about Keon Coleman. You're talking about.
Oh no, I'm talking about Amari Cooper.
Okay.
Listen,
all right.
And I think you have to trust Coleman too, and I think Josh does. But you gotta trust him to get him a couple balls as well. And you gotta trust Khalil Shakir. He's the one that should eat.
I'm not worried about Khalil Shakir.
That's what I'm saying. He's the one that should eat. And so yes, Trent McDuffie on Amari Cooper isn't your ideal matchup, but you got to trust the guy.
Yeah.
Why'd you trade for him? You know what I mean? Like
right.
this is why. So you could eat up their best corner and still throw the ball to him. And this is the moment, I think. I really do.
Man, that would be phenomenal. That would be phenomenal if he can really get off this game. I mean, we saw him make some plays in week 10, but again, it was on a rookie corner who shouldn't have been in there, but they had injuries, so I get it. But I mean, Amari Cooper's been one of the best receivers in the league for a reason. Like we shouldn't, thinking about it, we shouldn't be timid about their outside corners because
you have to make them respect them. And Trent McDuffie plays outside most of the time now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't want to say we shouldn't be timid about their outside corners. I'm giving him due respect. But the reason that you gave up a pick to go get Amari Cooper is because this moment, like you need to still get him the ball, even if it's not ideal because Trent McDuffie's on him.
Right. And McDuffie is almost exclusively playing on the outside. I mean, he has over 800 snaps at outside corner. So, yeah, that's where he's playing. And I think Shamari Connor's taking his place as a nickel corner who can be had as well. But they do use Shamari Connor to rush the quarterback. He does he's not bad in the run game as well.
Please blitz Josh
Right,
Allen.
right. And that will open up Shakir like no other, right?
I will get on my knees and beg for you to blitz Josh Allen. Please.
However, I mean, Spags does a really good job of disguising his pressure looks and stuff like that. So yes, like.
And how does Josh beat it when he doesn't understand it?
Well,
he makes the guy miss, like on 4th down a couple years ago, and runs for a first down. And if that's what this game turns into, then fine. But that's why I'm coming out throwing, to give myself those 2 options. Because I think if you run the ball into those pressure looks, you're not gonna win the game. And I don't think this is a game where you have 7-8 possessions, which has been the last couple of games for the Bills.
Yeah.
I think this is one of those games that you're like, give me 11, 12 possessions and see if I can put up 35.
Yeah, man. I mean, that'd be nice to score 35. And I wonder if Brian Cook playing this week. I know he got banged up last week. I guess we'll see what the injury report says tomorrow. But Brian Cook got injured in this game. So if he's not able to play, that's going to be huge.
Would you sign up for 30 points?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The Bills score 30, they're winning the game. They will win the game.
I don't know if that's enough for me. I don't know if I'd sign for it.
I want them to score 60, but I think 30 gets it done.
Of course, we want them to sign.
Right.
I'm just asking if you would sign up for it right now. I don't know if I'd sign up for 30.
How many points do you think this Chiefs offense is able to score?
I mean, listen,
20,
how many can they score? They can get in the 40s. They can.
Bro, they haven't gotten 30.
I know. But if everybody hits their rhythm, they can get in the. It's Patrick Mahomes, dog. It's Patrick Mahomes.
But they haven't been able to do it all season.
I'm just respect on the name,
dog. I can't. No, he has all. He has all the respect.
I'm
but
forcing you to. You do not have an option,
bro. Listen,
you need to put 40, a little respect on the name.
40
They can get in the 40s. You better not. You better not let that man score 40 points on you. But I don't know if I'm signing up for 30. I don't know if right now I'm signing in blood for 30.
Ain't no way, dog. I don't see it. I mean, they would have to have the
30
they
right
would
now.
have
Not
to
knowing
have
how many points he scores, you'd sign in blood for 30.
Who?
You.
Mahomes or Allen?
Allen.
Oh, yeah.
30 points. You'd sign in blood for it.
Hell yeah. I would. 30?
No, it's got to be like 35 for me. It really does.
I mean, 35 would be great. That'd be great. But I think 30 is realistic.
Take it right now. It's got to be. But that's what I'm expecting. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's what I'm expecting from this offense. Like, they have to be prolific.
Yeah. Anything under 30, no, they ain't going to cut it. You have to score 30 plus. No, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You got to.
Can we have a zoom out discussion?
Let's go.
As we wrap here, because I know we've.
God, how much time have we been on here, huh? I'm just going.
It's only been an hour. I mean, like I said, I could go all day. So I felt like I was burning through time here real fast.
Okay.
But I do have a high level question for you.
Okay. No, you don't want me answering that.
The story in the NFL has been fun the last couple of years from the NFL's perspective. You have your new GOAT, right? He wasn't quite able to take down the old GOAT. The old GOAT got him a couple times, but he has firmly cemented himself as the new GOAT. There is no question, right?
Yeah, Mahomes, yeah.
You do not have a Joker to your Batman yet. So, everybody's been talking about the refs and the NFL and blah, blah, blah. And in the back of my head, I'm saying, I got to be honest with you. I kind of think the NFL wants its Joker. The NFL wants its Peyton Manning. The NFL needs somebody to create storylines who is up to the task, who can slay the dragon.
Yeah. And
nobody's been able to do it. That's not true. I mean, Burrow did it one year, but it wasn't really Burrow.
Right.
And they didn't win the title. If they would have won the title and then been back in the playoffs the past couple of years, you can write stories around that.
Exactly.
But they've missed the playoffs 2 years in a row, and he didn't actually win it. And
Mhm.
so I think Josh is the closest thing that they have to a true, I don't want to call him a villain, because really Patrick Mahomes is the villain and Josh is your white knight for now. You know what I mean? For now.
Oh, you could have used a better. He said the White Knight.
You know what I meant.
Yeah, no, I was just giving you shit.
As opposed to the Dark Knight.
Well, yeah, I get.
He's the savior. I mean, this is why everybody's
Sure.
saying it's America's team. I'm
Right.
getting Bronco fans. The Dolphins fans are fighting on Twitter about if they should root for Josh Allen to get a ring or Patrick Mahomes to go back.
Oh,
to
that's a bad place to be in.
right? But that's what I'm saying. Like we are universally across the board. Everybody wants us to win unless you're a Chiefs fan.
Yeah,
And I think the NFL kind of needs that.
they do.
So all this, the refs get the call, the Chiefs get the calls, and all this kind of stuff. I don't think the NFL wants the Chiefs to win. Like the three-peat is a great story, but I think they want to have a true, worthy villain.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
And they've been building this hype machine all season long with Josh Allen, and it's been warranted. Like he has played extremely well. But I will say this though, into parlaying off of what you're saying, the fact that Houston kind of made a stink about the refereeing on Saturday, I think it's going to have an effect to where the refs are going to call everything on both teams, and I'd rather that than one-sided either way. Like I'd rather a fair game. I'd rather if you're going to throw the flag, like if that's what it takes. I just want an unadulterated, real, fair game. That's all I want.
I think Josh is a big enough superstar that he'll get the same calls.
I think so. I think so too. I just think now that people are starting to. I mean, they've been saying it, but now you got teams saying it. I do think the NFL will take notice and be like, okay, let's make sure that the refs make sure you guys are on point. Like we will definitely get help from New York, on certain things like that, like they do. But I'm just. It makes me sleep easier at night knowing that people are talking shit about these refs and the favoritism towards the Chiefs, because I do think there's a little bit there, that maybe we can get a more fair game on Sunday. So thank you, Houston. Stephon Diggs still sucks, but whatever. So yeah,
listen, there's gonna be bad calls. It's gonna happen,
right?
And you're going to be like, oh, the Chiefs got a call again. Like, just, it's going to happen. You can't let it deflate you. You know what I mean? You've got to just deal with it and move on.
You do. So, okay. So at closing here, you know what we got to do, and you have to do it. You know what I'm going to ask you? Score. Give me your prediction.
Dog, I don't do this.
Well, it's the AFC Championship. It's the AFC Championship. You have to do it. It's the AFC Championship, Rob. Come on,
the guy
dog.
getting on a boat and sailing away.
Hey, I'm still gonna watch it.
You cannot invoke the weight of the game.
This is not about me.
When you're going on a cruise.
This is not about me. This is about you right now. I'm deflecting it back to you.
Yeah, well, good luck.
It's the AFC Championship. The fans, dude, they want to know what you think, bro. Come on.
They can tune in to our betting show on Sunday morning and hear what I have to say about what team to bet on.
Okay, well, since you won't do it,
okay,
I will. Bills Mafia, get ready. Because your Buffalo Bills.
Be careful.
I ain't being careful for nothing.
Be careful.
Your Buffalo Bills will defeat the Kansas City Chiefs 34-23 on Sunday night.
And Sturls will be in international waters, so watch out because it could get weird.
If you want to bring your pitchforks and come after me, by all means do, because you won't be able to find me. However, my prediction will stand and it will be true. They will win this game.
Are you running? Do you got to get out of here? Can I keep you for another minute?
Yeah, let's go.
So let's. our boy, the producer Ian here says Sterling will be under the protection of maritime law. Have you really thought about it?
I have.
Like seriously.
Come on, dog.
I'm serious. Because when I think about it, the feeling I will have
Okay.
in either scenario, I can't handle it. I can't handle it. If I have to wake up Monday morning and start writing eulogies
I'm not letting myself go there.
for Josh Allen's quarterbacking career, which is now over because he can't beat Patrick Mahomes. Seriously. I mean, like, it is going to be a war to protect our boy if they somehow lose that game. God forbid he plays poorly.
They ain't losing. Get it out of your head now that the Bills aren't losing.
And then I want you to think about the other side of it.
If they do win,
like, literally, you're going to wake up Monday morning and say what to yourself? The Bills are in the Super Bowl? Get the fuck out of you. Got to be kidding me, dog. And that's all they have to do. All you have to do is walk out onto that field and win a football game, and you get a chance to play for a title.
now the feelings that we have, or that I have, after the Bills beat the Chiefs, I think I will be unfit to live with knowing the Bills are going to play in the Super Bowl. I will just be a hot mess express, dog. I'll be a hot mess express. And to think if the Bills will play the Commanders,
It's going to be real hard not to get overhyped.
bro, I know.
gonna
And
be
you
real hard.
have to wait 2 weeks. You have to wait 2 weeks. So,
Oh, I'm going to want the 2 weeks, though. I'm
yeah,
going to want to sit in it for 2 weeks. If they do that, I'm
you're
going
probably
to
going
want
to
to sit in
need
it for 2 weeks.
a week of excitement, and then a week of, oh shit, this is really happening. And then, like,
You know
okay.
what's crazy? One of my best friends from college, I lived with him for 4 years,
Uh-huh.
huge Eagles fan. I do a football trip with him every year. We go see either an Eagles
Yeah,
game or a
yeah,
Bills game and a college football game. He's that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Huge Eagles fan. I texted him today. I'm like, dog, I don't know if I can do it. He's like, you don't know if you can do what? I'm like, man, if I have to play you guys in the Super Bowl, like, just. And how about like the AFC East or the NFC East, like, gauntlet?
Yeah.
That'll make it 4 for 4 if the Bills play the Eagles in the Super Bowl. They will have played every team in the NFC East in the Super Bowl. And I don't have to tell you what happens if this one that doesn't come through. Right?
Oh man.
That's what I'm saying. Like, can you really think about what happens that next morning? And I'm going to be a disaster. I'm going to be a disaster if
they beat the Chiefs.
I'm going to be a disaster if they lose.
Oh,
And if they win,
you're going to be a disaster.
I'm going to be a disaster. Which is why I put in my PTO request.
Yo, I requested 2 days off after the Super Bowl.
Oh, I'm putting a PTO request for that too.
Yeah, I put in 2 days. I got to take 2 days off after the Super Bowl because I either will be extremely elated with joy or I will be in the fucking dumps.
I just want you to think about it, man. Like,
Yeah, no, I do. Listen, man, it's hard. Like, again, this show tonight, the theme, Destiny is Calling. I really do think that this is a team that will win the Super Bowl this year. I really do feel that, man.
what's gross is like we're so like they haven't done anything yet. You're on the edge of it. Like you are standing on the precipice of doing something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Otherwise, it's just another year that falls into obscurity. And it's crazy to me. It really is.
It really is. And because it feels like the good things can't happen to us. You know, that's why, at least how I feel. Like it's hard for the good things to happen to us being Bills fans. And we got Josh Allen. We got a really good team now. And a great quarterback like that, it's hard to keep great quarterbacks like that out of the Super Bowl. And I think he'll get a Super Bowl. I think it'll be this year, and I think he'll probably get a couple more in his career. But yeah, when they win on Sunday, I will be.
All of a sudden, the dog's so blustery.
Well, I'm just
remember
being
the
honest.
conversation we had in this room last week?
Yeah,
Now
I'm
all
just.
of a sudden,
Dog, what did I say? What did I?
his coconuts are
What did I tell
swinging.
you? What did I tell you? What did I tell you? I said,
All of a sudden, his coconuts are swanging out there. I
hey, well,
mean,
they always
last week
swanging.
he was so nervous.
I
They were
was,
sucked up inside his body. I
but
had to calm him down.
well, that's usually how it goes.
I had to chill him out. And now he's talking about multiple Super Bowl titles.
We'll just take the one for now. But I told you, I said against the
swing is
Broncos.
just crazy, dog.
Have I been wrong though? I said against the Broncos, the playoffs really hadn't started yet. I feel like the Bills are going to handle those boys. I did come and say last week, toward the middle to the end of the week, I did say I feel really confident about what the Bills are able to do after we talked.
Yeah, after I talked you off the ledge.
Well, sometimes it takes friends. It takes a village to get to certain conclusions in life. Okay, so I'm not saying it's all me. All I'm saying is we're on a trajectory here, and I do feel like I feel better about this week than I did last week for sure. And yeah, to your point, where I'm not going to get overthink it, get crazy about it. I see what they can do. I know that they are a formidable opponent, and I know that they are, the ring keepers to glory, right? I know all that, but they can be had and they will be had. Brady didn't win the Super Bowl every year. I almost felt like it, but they had their slumps too. And I just, from an X's and O's standpoint, roster standpoint, I just feel like the Bills are the better squad. The better squad doesn't always win, but I do feel like the matchup wise, though, because the NFL is all about matchups, the Bills are a better matchup for the Chiefs. And that's why.
Okay, so now I feel like I got to balance you out. I got to bring you back down.
Go ahead. And be selective about what you're about to say, Rob.
I'm just going to ask you a couple questions.
Okay.
That we talk about all the time when it comes to betting on teams and betting in games. Who's got the better coach? Who's got the better quarterback?
And that's the show, folks.
I just don't get too far ahead of yourself now, because I think we both have the same answer to that.
Okay, and it's the Chiefs on both, but I do feel like,
but one is closer than the other. And I
Allen
think he can go out
closer.
there and prove it this week. But
Allen has played better than Mahomes this year. And I feel like Sean McDermott as a coach has...
Careful.
He's closed the gap in the areas that he struggled in.
Okay.
We've seen a really good progression in the area. So going into this game, I have faith in Sean McDermott and Bobby Babbage to make the right decisions, and I have the utmost faith in Josh Allen to do what he needs to do.
I don't think it's a bad pick. I'm just trying to put your feet on the ground a little bit here because you're floating away from me.
Let me float, baby. Let me float, okay?
Listen, that's not what I do. I bring you truth. That's what I bring.
God, let me float. And for those of you at home, you should float too. Again, destiny is calling. We are destined for greatness, and we will get to the Super Bowl this year. We will beat the Chiefs, and we'll talk about our Super Bowl opponent the following week when we get there. But I'm telling you right now, dude, it's the Bills' year. It is the Bills' year.
What happened to all those Ravens fans who were in our chat last week?
They ain't got nothing to say. They 1, 2, 3, 2, 1 Cancun. That's what they're doing right now. Right. Yeah. It's nice.
There was a lot of noise in here last week. I mean, I listen. It was both shows, so I just Hey, but John is in here. John Silver Young, what's up, man? Thanks for watching. And those of you who are watching the show and kicking it with us, man, we really appreciate it. Shout out to Level Up Labels as a sponsor of our show. And shout out to producer Ian in the back, which you don't see his face, but he is very much involved in everything we got going on here. This is Intentional Grounding on the Buffalo Media Network. And me and TD will be back in this thing on Thursday to talk some more Bills, Chiefs, and whatever you guys want to talk about. Continue to be active in the chat. Here are our socials here. Rob T Radio at Furrowh Sterling. This is Intentional Grounding. We out of here. Go Bills.